Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. Gerard Celente says that BRICS is ready to put the US dollar on its deathbed. This courtesy of Michael Branch here. He argued in a podcast with Cuban-American journalist Rick Sanchez that the alliance has become self-sufficient and no longer needs the US dollar for survival. So, as we're looking at more use cases for RLUSD and other stablecoins, these are other external factors that are going to help establish and maintain, prop up US dollar dominance. It says here members such as China and India have a robust economy and can survive without depending on the USD. And you got to remember, China and India, part of the BRICS nations, also have huge economies. China dominates the manufacturing sector in the US, and other Western nations depend on its products to conduct day-to-day business. Russia, despite sanctions, is seeing its economy grow by 1.4%. So you got to think these are countries that have sanctions put on them by the United States, and yet their economies are growing. In addition, India's economy no longer depends on the U.S. and is much self-sustained with local manufacturing and jobs. The BRICS economy is growing and could push the U.S. dollar to its deathbed. And so in the U.S., the stablecoin regulation, this is important for U.S. companies and also the U.S. economy to continue to thrive. Even if the United States does continue trade with the West, I think it is still in a good spot. And we heard Donald Trump talking about tariffs, discussing all these other options and trade deals with other countries around the world. So I don't think it's going to collapse the U.S. economy. However, the U.S. dollar is becoming less prevalent than it was, let's say, 20, 25 years ago. And more countries are also joining BRICS. BRICS has recently expanded, adding Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates as full members, and designating several other countries as partner countries. So full members include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE. And partner countries include Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Uganda, and Uzbekistan. So this is interesting. We're seeing this occur, and because we are seeing this occur, it is important to understand how this technology is going to be utilized in the United States. And by this technology, I mean American-made technology like RippleNet, and why these acquisitions are particularly important. Riz here posting this. Okay, why Ripple acquired Rail? Guys, giving you some context how we're going to see, especially if it becomes a story of U.S. Western economies versus the BRICS economies. This is why these acquisitions were important, or are important, why they continue to be important. Listen to this.
So Ripple have acquired a company called RailPay for $200 million. So Rail was one of the largest players in stablecoin for cross-border in business-to-business payments. I think they say that there's more than $3.6 billion of B2B payments moving through their pipes annually and growing very, very rapidly. It seems like B2B is this major theme in stablecoins. The Artemis report from a couple of months ago talked about B2B as being one of the fastest growing sort of cross-border payment types. So people see stablecoins, they assume consumer, but Kai, I'm interested in your perspectives here. B2B has always been a bit of a difficult one. Is this more in the SWIFT territory than in the consumer territory? And what are your reactions to this announcement?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind with this announcement is it seems like there's this broader trend of the convergence of stablecoin issuance and orchestration, where we've seen Circle started as a stablecoin issuer with USDC. Now they have the Circle payment network, and so they're getting more into orchestration. Bridge started as an orchestration provider. Now there's USDB. Bridge is starting to issue stablecoins. Ripple, you could argue, started in a way orchestration, but with XRP trying to get that adopted as a bridge currency. I'd argue that it hasn't really seen much adoption there. Then they moved on to stablecoin issuance. Now you have RLUSD, and then now they're going into orchestration specifically with stablecoins. And so it feels like there will be more companies that do both issuance and orchestration. And I think the question becomes which is it the value is being the issuer and orchestration is just how you try and drive more adoption of the stablecoin that you issue? Or is it the value is orchestration and issuance is kind of one piece that helps you better monetize your, how these two fit together, I think is going to be a really interesting question. And then what does it mean for the neutrality of, if you're going and trying to decide, which orchestration provider, to buy from, are you making a decision of what if you want an orchestration provider, but you want to use another stablecoin that is issued by a third party? Are they going to be steering you towards their stablecoin? Are there going to be economic incentives if you use their stablecoin inside their orchestration platform? So I think that's the big thing to look for of how orchestration and issuance plays together, what the economic models are between them, and so I think it's a very logical approach from Ripple as part of their strategy to scale RLUSD, and Rail is clearly kind of one of the orchestration providers that is in the mix there.
It clearly doesn't understand all the facts. I mean, Ripple has created this platform. It's interoperable, so you don't have to choose. It's not about deciding which stablecoin you're going to use. It's going to be about which stablecoin best suits your needs. And I guess he does make an interesting point about the issuing body and the actual technology. He doesn't understand XRP. He says that it was a failed technology, but no, what he doesn't realize is that XRP is what's going to move the RLUSD and all the other stablecoins that are going to be running on the XRP ledger eventually. So it's about interoperability, but it's also about the lifeblood of the system, the XRP that needs to be liquid, that is the lubricant that is going to move all these, not just stablecoins, but tokenized assets. So, I mean, we can glean some things from this clip. I think the most important thing was that Rail was one of those companies that was acquired. And so, just to that point, let's take a look at the updated list, plans within plans. Here's a complete list of companies that Ripple has acquired. So Simple Honey back in 2013, I don't even remember that one. Algom If in 2019, Medico. This is where I think we start remembering kind of the more prominent companies. So Medico in 2023, Fortress Trust, then Standard Custody and Trust in 2024, Hidden Road in 2025, and now finally Rail Finance. So these are the building blocks to be that one-stop shop for Ripple to become a bank. Some other partner news, guys, that I just wanted to bring up today. Zonix partnered with Ripple to tokenize RWAs in 2024. Now Zonix has integrated DIA Association Oracle feeds. So this is interesting. There is now a Zonix DIA alliance, JP Morgan's RWA reality check, and Ripple's $19 trillion push to shake up tokenization. So this week in tokenization, the sector saw both strategic and expansion and critical reflection. Zonix, which was a Ripple partner, announced a major integration with DIA to bolster institutional-grade data infrastructure for tokenized assets, while JP Morgan reiterated that despite growing hype, Wall Street adoption remains cautious and selective. And I think that's going to change, though, very fast. I think with the Clarity Act, if that is finally signed into law by September, we are going to see a major shift. That is what's going to get prices up even higher, and that's what's going to push euphoria off the charts. I'll take this opportunity now to pitch the Patreon. If you guys have not signed up yet, it is now only $5 a month. If you guys are interested in following what I'm doing for this particular bull run, my DMs are open as well. So if you have specific questions you want to ask me, you can ask me your questions over there at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. It is only $5 a month, but you do have to subscribe and stay subscribed. Let's get back to this. Meanwhile, new partnerships like Credifi and Bricken's permissionless lending platforms for RWAs underscore the ongoing drive to connect real-world value with decentralized finance. So we are seeing a big push. Ripple is pushing towards tokenization. Now we have Zonix, a Ripple partner. They are tokenizing. Wrath of Kahneman even does point out some of the reference material here, so I will link this in the description of the video for you guys. And Anders here, giving us this timeline, interesting. Given these factors, the average time for Ripple's banking license could range from 4 to 12 months. So this is also interesting in terms of, taking a look at the timeline here and taking a look at, where we are at in the cycle, how much time we could have left. Actually, let's bring up Bitcoin real quickly here, how much time we do have left in a cycle. Perhaps, I mean, if we are to assume this is a 4-year cycle, and, all cycles are going to look different, but if this is a 4-year cycle, and we are assuming that we are getting kind of close here, right? If I'm just putting up I know the fractal doesn't make sense in terms of what I'm just using the fractal in terms of timing. Today we are August the 12th down in there, and this is suggesting if we are to assume 4-year cycle theory, coming near the end here would be mid-October. So guys, we're getting very close. 4 months from now, this could lead us into an extended bull run. So the standard time estimate is 6 to 9 months. So what Anders is saying is 2026, unless expedited by emergency provisions or regulatory prioritization. A specific report indicates a decision is expected by November the 29th, 2025. So guys, that would be very, very close to the peak of where this market could go. If you guys are following November 28th theory, something I talk about on the Patreon, roughly 5 months from the application date, aligning with the shorter end of this range. So you can see the reasoning for this, okay? We're also seeing companies like Paxos, which does also have a stablecoin. They've just renewed their push for a U.S. banking license as stablecoin rules take shape. So Paxos has reapplied for a U.S. National Trust Bank charter after its 2021 conditional approval lapsed. So guys, they're probably realizing what Ripple's doing, and they figure, okay, why not throw our hat into the mix? Paxos Trust Company, the crypto infrastructure company behind PayPal's PYUSD stablecoin, has filed to convert its New York limited purpose trust charter into a U.S. national banking license, or I guess their application for that. If approved, the federal charter issued by the Office of the Controller of the Currency, or the OCC, would allow Paxos to custody customer assets and settle payments nationwide under federal oversight, potentially boosting its appeal to institutional clients. Unlike traditional banks, a national trust bank cannot accept cash deposits or issue loans. OCC oversight will help build on our historic commitments to maintain the highest standards for safety and transparency. This coming from the Paxos co-founder and CEO Charles Cascarilla. Okay, that's what he said. Paxos first applied for the trust charter in December of 2020 and received preliminary conditional approval from the OCC in April of 21. The green light allowed the company to begin meeting a series of pre-opening requirements, including capital compliance and operational benchmarks. But I think that because Ripple is now applying for their bank license, Paxos is doing the same, and we'll probably see companies like Circle do the same as well if they haven't already. So that I thought was interesting news. The Ripple renaissance, though, guys, is here, and with companies like Wormhole, we're going to see this happen, and hopefully we do see this happen sooner rather than later.
And then when it comes to your partnership or the XRP-L integration, I'm curious if you could expand a bit more on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've been working on something with Ripple for a long time, and we wanted it to be a little bit more holistic. Obviously, Ripple's working on a lot of different things. I think the things that's really interesting to us is RLUSD, right? So Wormhole is successful if the assets that use Wormhole or apps that use Wormhole are successful. So we're kind of in the background in that sense. So just like taking a quick step back, Pyth, for instance, every price feed that's sent over Pyth uses Wormhole. So if Pyth's successful, that only helps Wormhole because the entire protocol is built on Wormhole. And same with assets. If these assets are successful and do a lot of volume, Wormhole's successful. So that's why it's great that we work with all these institutions, but stablecoins are important as well. And so we're looking at RLUSD from Ripple as probably one of the only, at least right now, stablecoins out there that has the chance of challenging the incumbents. What do I mean by that? USDC, USDT, obviously stablecoins benefit from network effects. They're really, really hard to beat over time because they just become bigger and bigger and bigger, have more integrations. That's our hope for Wormhole too, and we're starting to see that. But Ripple has enough resources to challenge that moat. And so when I think about some of the things that, we were excited when kind of inking this partnership with Ripple is, number one is RLUSD is very interesting just because I think it has that opportunity to kind of chip away at that moat and be kind of one of the main USD stablecoins for crypto. The other is obviously XRPL and the EVM sidechain. So Ripple's interesting because I think in the past, if we're being a little bit honest, they've gotten a lot of flack for just and I'm a big fan. So XRP Army, please hold any.
You have to disclaim before mentioning any sort of throwing any shade at the army, even if it's constructive.
Exactly. It's largely there hasn't been as much technical adoption as maybe like in Ethereum. That's what I'll say in the past. However, I do think that's changing, and I think they have the recipe for everything to be successful. Here's the reason why, though. XRPL, if you're an infrastructure provider, asset issuer, app builder in crypto, if you are not SVM, EVM, and now Move, I would say, it is very hard to build on a net new ecosystem. Like there's really was no before their EVM sidechain, like easy, well-known, well-adopted, like kind of virtual machine way to build right on XRPL. And so that prevented a lot of builders on XRPL for quite some time. However, I think that enough time has gone by, they have enough Lindy effect that people are starting to integrate into XRPL and figure it out. And they're doing a lot of builder programs to help with this. And then also now they have, of course, the EVM sidechain with those being interoperable too. But I think that we're starting to see a shift in XRPL is what I'm saying. And so I kind of see this as like Ripple's renaissance from like a on-chain adoption standpoint, not the actual token, because, the tokens had such good adoption. They have, so much resources that people are starting to connect to XRPL. And once that ecosystem is connected and builders or feel more comfortable building on it, I think sky is really the limit there. And so we're excited to be built. We're connecting to the XRPL. We're connecting to EVM sidechain. We're working with some of their assets as well. So we're going to help make Ripple just more connected to everything on chain, and that work is ongoing. And so we're really excited about it. I think that, again, they've got a lot of resources to be successful. Obviously, with the purchase of Hidden Road and the tokenization platform, we're kind of key to a lot of that stuff when it comes to tokenization too. So again, I'll say, I think it is it's Ripple's renaissance moment right now.
He said it twice, guys. The Ripple renaissance is here, and it's opening up the XRP ledger for more adoption. So much so that critics in the past are now purchasing companies that are running on the Ripple network. Guys, Western Union just snagged an all-cash deal, $500 million to the Ripple XRP ODL user. They announced this back in 2020. Intermex wired to capture growth in all of the Americas. So this is big, and the reason this is big, guys, is because back in 2018 or 2019, it was Hikmet Ersek, the CEO of Western Union, said that they were going to trial Ripple. They were going to put it, they were going to do a test pilot, and he said, well, we tried it out, and we didn't actually see too much in savings. I mean, I think they tested out like a half dozen transactions, like 6 or 7 transactions, and they're like, well, we don't actually see the savings, so we're not going to jump in. At that time, though, I mean, you have to remember, there was no legislation, there was no regulation, and so I think it was maybe just an excuse to not have to be pushed into a new technology that they didn't want to use at the moment. But now, guys, strategic acquisition strengthens North American retail presence, and operating model expands Intermex beyond its historical high growth in Latin American corridors and is expected to accelerate new digital customer acquisition. Western Union and Ripple partner Intermex today did announce that they have entered into a definitive agreement under which Western Union will acquire Intermex in an all-cash transaction deal, $16 per share, and that's worth approximately $500 million. This acquisition strengthens Western Union's retail offering in the United States, expanding market coverage in high potential geographies, and is expected to accelerate digital new customer acquisition. This agreement represents an exciting opportunity to provide Intermex's shareholders with significant and certain value, accelerating our omni-channel strategy while continuing to deliver for our customers. This coming from Bob Lissy, chairman and CEO of Intermex. So, with regards to the acquisition, okay, strategic rationale and benefits. We've got strategic alignment. Strengthening U.S. retail platforms, so that is big in the United States, and meaningful synergy potential. Expect $30 million in annual run rate cost synergies within 24 months. The potential for additional revenue synergies through broader distribution and product offerings. And so that is all positive news. Of course, the geography is big as well. Resilient and improving customer access across the Americas, a big, big market. And so it gives you guys some transaction details there. The other thing that Chad Steingraber wanted to bring up, International Money Express, which is Intermex. Ripple, the firm behind the third largest cryptocurrency, XRP, has made a new partnership to bolster cross-border payments between the United States and Mexico. So again, the company has partnered with International Money Express, a money remittance service firm focused on the Latin and Caribbean corridor, also known as Intermex. The new financial partner of Ripple is listed on the NASDAQ. And guys, at that time, they were using Ripple's on-demand liquidity, now rebranded as Ripple Payments. So we're seeing the Ripple web get larger and larger now. Finally, officially connected to Western Union. As it says here too from Google today, the undisputed leader of the pack in remittance space is Western Union. It started in the 1850s as one of the first telegraph companies, and through aggressive expansion strategy today commands 10 to 20% of nearly a $700 billion global remittance market. So 10 to 20%, guys, now going to be running through XRP. Through the Intermex acquisition. I mean, some of that might actually get redistributed through stablecoin adoption. Of course, if we see Ripple become a bank and Paxos become a bank, the entire landscape is changing. Luckily for us, though, XRP and the XRP ledger are going to be front and center, guys, as we're seeing the price go up and stay above $3, which is first and foremost, I'm really excited about. We haven't seen XRP stay above the $3 price level ever, I don't think. We're waiting for it to really explode with real-world utility, but I'm also looking to make some profits. I'm cashing out when the time is right, looking for realistic goals for this particular bull run. And if you guys are interested in where I'm going to be cashing out, I mean, I'm not going to be round tripping my XRP this time, thinking the price is going to get to something that might not be in the cards. You can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel, where I'm just letting my Patreon subscribers know what I'm going to be doing. Again, guys, it is only $5 a month. I've rolled back prices, but you got to subscribe and stay subscribed to lock into that subscription price. I'm also offering 15% off the Working Money Channel merch store. Link is in the description of the video, offering that until the end of the month. So if you guys are, I don't know, maybe looking for a Bearable Guy hoodie, you can get it now, 15% off. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.